Hi everyone, a quick Mandela Effect video because this one just really made me wow. Ringo Starr has come back to life for my timeline. Now remember, we're not all coherent anymore in the Mandela Effect community. So some of you may have remembered him being dead and some don't. For me, he was clearly dead. And I know because I'm a vegetarian and we made fun. Not fun, but we were smug. We were kind of mean and rude about the fact that Paul was a vegetarian and he was the last one standing, and we were like, it's because he's a vegetarian. And then the other people were saying, no, it's not because of that. It's because he was replaced way back when in a car crash, and it's not the real him anymore. And so there was a conspiracy theory going around about him, but it's for sure he was the last Beatle standing. And now he's not. Now he is alive again. Now, the one thing I find very suspicious about this, he's like 80 or 81 now, and yet I can't find anything of him online where he looks old. Check this out. He looks still really young. This is really weird. I cannot find anything of him old. We see Paul old. There he is. Where the heck is my old Ringo? If Ringo really is alive right now, I want to see an old Ringo. And that's got me a little suspicious here. Because I think sometimes they do change things on us to confuse us, as well as there being real Mandela effects. Here is someone else who also felt that Ringo had died and said died in 1991. Yep, I clearly remember that Paul was the last Beatle standing. And then I got some comments from some people in this awesome Mandela Effect group on Facebook I'm going to tell you about pretty soon. Simon Wilson immediately said, what the actual frick, 100,000% Paul was the only one left. Yep, that's what I remember too. Brandy remembers Paul was the only one left because of the conspiracy secret that he was replaced was going to die with him. Exactly. That's exactly how I remember it. There was a conspiracy theory surrounding him being the only one left. Lisa said, I believe you're right, though. Paul was the only one left. She kind of remembers it. Oh, okay. Here's a little screenshot. This is an awesome Facebook group that you should join. There are no trolls in it. Sandy and Teresa have been running it, and they are doing an amazing job. It's interesting. We're finding all kinds of stuff. And if you want to have some daily content, you should go in there. Just join the Mandela Reality Residue Hunters on Facebook. Give them a little ad. They are so awesome. That's where I'm getting a lot of this from, as we've been discussing it there. So, okay, on to the next one. So I also found, so this really freaked me out, Shirley Temple. For me, Shirley Temple was blonde and blue-eyed. She was a little icon of white America, like Marilyn Monroe. And she died when she was young. She died when she was about 12. I couldn't find many people who remembered that, but now apparently there are quite a few more people remembering it with me. Thankfully, I love people who remember my timeline. Look at this. Now, she not only died when she was older, she had brown hair and brown eyes. And I mean dark brown. She actually looks a little bit Hispanic to me there. And that just wasn't the case when she was like a Marilyn Monroe white culture, sort of like almost a racist icon. There's no way she would have looked like this in my old timeline. And Sandy said, she reported on this already. I didn't know she had, which is interesting to me because Sandy, for her to find this separately from me, shows to me it is a Mandela effect. She remembers when she had brown hair. So for her to see any kind of blonde on her was strange, and for me to see any brown was strange. So let me see here. Okay, I was just making sure I'm still recording there. Okay, Lisa immediately responded, in my timeline, she died young with blue eyes and blonde hair. Thank you. Lisa has my exact same timeline. I've been through 3 Shirleys. One died young, blonde and blue eyes. One grew old, blonde and blue, and when I looked up her pictures and she was still blonde, but she was old. But I'd never heard of her before. And then I mean, not past her dying young at 12 of a mystery illness. And then now she has died with brown hair and brown eyes. That's completely new to me, but people in this timeline remember her with sort of like a light brownish hair when she was younger, I guess, and then turning dark brown when she was old. Sarah Skloot says, in my original timeline, she died at 14 at a young age, but she had light brown curly hair with blue eyes. So she's from even another timeline when she had blue eyes, but she had brown hair. So my friend, who kind of sees the Mandela effect, but she changed on me what she said about Shirley Temple, and she kind of doesn't. She kind of denies it. I think this whole thing disturbed her. She ran home to her mom's house, and she got me an old DVD of Shirley Temple to look at. And yeah, it's like darkish. The hair is kind of like a brownish. But what I find interesting about it is it's just blonde enough that it could pacify the people who remember her blonde. So if the people who have the blonde timeline looked at this, they'd go, oh yeah, she's blonde. But if the people with the brown hair timeline looked at this, they'd go, oh yeah, she's brown haired. It pacifies everyone, so they're staying asleep. And I find that weird and tricky. It's almost like, is the Mandela effect tricking us right now to keep us asleep from us combining timelines? Because this could be either. But there's no mistaking those eyes are brown. Very brown. And, okay, let me get to the next one here. Chris Kent, I found this one interesting. He said, dude, this was my first Mandela effect. I was in the McDonald's drive-thru when the DJ wished her happy birthday. I said something about her dying as a kid, and my wife was like, she's still alive, and it really bothered me. Where I come from, she famously died as a kid. It would be like hearing on the radio that the Titanic made its 100th voyage. Too famous for me to misremember. That is what I remember. It was very famous, and I was so shocked when so few people remembered her dying very young. Alan said, I'm honestly in shock where I live. I can't talk about these effects, but I also recall hearing about her dying tragically in her early age, and that's what I remember. It was always cushioned with the words tragic and mysterious. Tragic death. Okay, here I am unpacking the DVD. Let me turn on the sound for you here.
Wow.
This is the DVD.
This is so crazy to me. Her hair is brown, and this is an
I hope you can hear it. I'm saying it's really old.
This is like an old VHS.
And it's definitely brown hair.
Look at that. Her hair is brown. Her eyes are brown.
And brown eyes.
And then on the back, it's kind of like a blondish brown, but it wasn't dark like that for me before. The color of her hair was
okay. I'm just gonna stop this because I'm not sure if you can hear it or not.
It was closer to this.
I'm saying that was the color before. So that was the color of her hair before. It wasn't this like brown color. Okay, we're still recording here. So I was able to find a few dolls online that look like I remember with the blonde hair and the blue eyes. Now my question is, if she wasn't blonde and blue-eyed, why is this even existing? And like for Sandy, this wasn't her reality. She never had a blonde-haired and blue-eyed, so she's wondering, where did these just pop in from? Like, how come there's dolls? She covered this because she said, I was so surprised to see blonde, blue-eyed Shirley Temple dolls. Well, for the rest of us that had this Shirley as their original Shirley, this is our normal Shirley. We're confused as to why this has gone away. And for Sandy, it's popped into her reality. Then I said, what really got to me is I saw her blonde, red, and brown hair in the current pictures, as if the timelines have all mixed and they're all here now. Because if you go look, you'll see pictures where she looks kind of blonde, somewhere she looks brown, and somewhere she looks actually redhead. And Sandy was saying some people actually remember her redhead now. Well, yeah, not me. It was always blonde and blue-eyed. I'm in complete shock. I never saw her with dark brown hair ever. I mean, I never even saw her old in the first place until the first Mandela effect. And then after that, I saw her with blonde hair still, even as an old lady. So here, Geraldo Rivera show. I'm so sorry, but in my old timeline, this was called the Geraldo show, or just Geraldo. It was not called Geraldo Rivera. He was never this classy. I don't know if you remember that with me or not. This one, how did Crocodile Dundee die? Okay, because in my old timeline, it was by wrestling with a crocodile. And I even asked a few people about this, and they were like, yeah, he died from wrestling a crocodile. Yes, that's my timeline too. Well, guess what? In this timeline, he was stung underwater by a stingray in a wetsuit. What? No way. No way. That didn't happen in my timeline, but maybe it did in yours. Okay, here's another one that I noticed when Sandy and Teresa were going over the really weird changes that they discovered on Eeyore, like his weird tan nose and purple underbelly. And I was like, wait a minute, he never had any pink on him. My Eeyore never had a pink tail. My Eeyore was so droll. He had a black tail, bow, I'm sorry, he had a black bow. Everything on him was dreary. I agree with Sandy and Teresa. These other colors weren't there either. But he definitely was never cheery. I can't imagine anything cheery being on Eeyore. That just doesn't even make sense. Okay, here's a little personal Mandela effect for you that I had. My courses in my trading class doubled on me. Gave me double work too, 15 more hours. So that's just a little one just for myself. Here I found some residue of Folgers with the D in it. Look at this. Check it out. Picture with the D. There it is. Doesn't that look familiar now? Yeah. Yep. Folgers. And even on the NBC, they called it Folgers. There are a lot of people online that remember it and spell it with the D. And this one was really interesting because it was NBC. And it has a picture. This one, Sarah Skloot, I just found really interesting. She found in that Mandela Effect group. I just thought it was amazing. I have to feature it. Pink used to be spelled pink, like regular, like pink, and now it's spelled with an upside down I. This is totally new for me. And if you go back on all your CD covers, you should be able to see a change. Amazing. That one really disturbed my other friend, I think, who kind of tries to deny this, but she kind of sees it as well. All right, and that's it. So there's our brown-eyed, brown-haired Shirley. Which one do you remember? Bye.